Hey, what's going on,
Hello.
y'all?
Hello.
Good to see all my homies, dude. Boom. Glad to be back here. Yeah, dude, that's what I'm talking about. I'm excited, man. Podcast is
You're
always fun.
excited.
Podcast is always
You're
fun, bro.
excited. You're excited.
I like it.
You're
I like it.
excited.
I
I'm
like it.
excited. We're all excited.
That's right.
I just
That's what
hope
I'm
my
talking
microphone doesn't sound like crap this week because last time it was pretty bad. I don't know if you listened to it, but it was like,
about. Which is kind of there's only a couple times where it was like it got a little loud, but it didn't sound like terrible on this side. Otherwise, I would have been like, bro, unplug your microphone.
I just turned the volume down. So hopefully,
It sounds Gucci right now.
yeah. So we'll see how it works.
It
But
sounds muy bueno.
I think it's because I had it on auto adjust on volume and maybe that did it because it made it like
They're just
super
super.
ridiculous loud.
Why are
On
you
that
screaming
note,
in your microphone?
hello.
No,
Hello.
what's up, God Guns and Family peeps?
Yeah, so hey everybody. What's it doing? What's it going? How's it going?
How
What's it
goes it?
doing?
How
What it
goes it?
do?
Always a pleasure being here.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. See my shirt?
Oh, what is it? Hey, I like that one. I like it a lot.
So the company that I got these from is from Beacon Threads.
Dude, I think I've seen some of their stuff like ads on socials.
Yeah. Yeah. So like this is a really nice hoodie. It was like $20.
I like that it's $20.
And they got some other stuff. I got a few of them actually.
They have
So
some pretty cool designs from what I saw. They're not like your
yeah.
typical like super lame cookie cutter Christian t-shirt stuffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of
It's
picky
better
with my
good.
clothing.
And then I was gonna get some
I'm
t-shirts,
picky
but
with material. I'm picky with like design. I'm just a picky dude. Whatever.
I'm picky with material for sure.
Yeah.
And I was gonna order some t-shirts and they had like box, what they said, box style, which is like I don't like it. It's like the new wave.
It's like the large tall tee sort of feel
Yeah.
where it's like straight from the armpits down. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
tailored at all.
Yeah, I don't like that.
We've officially gotten to the point of being old. Okay. Like
Oh yeah.
our styles like that we grew up in are all like considered like vintage and they don't make anymore. And like all the stuff that like I got rid of as a kid, like a teenager, is all like trendy and in style again. I'm like, what is happening? Like
Yeah,
the
like the
grunge look
kids
good. It's
wearing
wild.
shorts with the long socks.
Dude, what? Or like the bucket hats, like the Adidas bucket hats are back. Like they're cool again. I'm
Like
like,
Run
dude, were those
DMC and
ever
stuff.
cool? Yeah,
Yeah.
bro. It's weird.
Yeah, that's
Officially old
crazy.
now. Officially
Yeah.
old.
I saw a thing where they were making fun of a dude because it was like some teenagers were like talking trash to a dude because he was wearing no-show socks. I like only wear no-show socks.
Yeah,
So
I don't like when anything touches my ankle. It's weird. So like I can't wear high top shoes. The only thing that I can wear is like hunting boots or work boots.
yeah.
That's it.
Or cowboy boots.
Cowboy boots too. But like if I'm in like an athletic shoe, it's like no show socks or no socks rocking with just a shoe.
Stinky feet.
No, just, it's más o menos.
With the no socks.
Hey, Arizona in the Arizona time in the summers, it's great.
Yeah, you had it right. Arizona time.
It is Arizona time, which is still like 100 degrees a day, so it's fantastic.
Ew.
The end of November or end of October. It's weird.
It is what it is.
Coming right into November time, though, bro, is what we're talking about today. Being prepared. Dude, it's kind of crazy, bro. Like, there's like a palpable like anxiety culturally right now. Like
Yeah.
everyone's on edge, like everyone's pissed off. Did you happen to see it all on the news that like some dude was like hanging a foreign white substance across all his like, anti-democratic signs with like slurs and all sorts of stuff all over Albuquerque, and it was like it shut down Chandler Boulevard. Did you get any of
No.
that? Like, dude, yeah. So all day yesterday, 3 different locations, this dude like hung like a vulgar, like, you know, like anti-democratic sign, but hung like an unknown white substance like all over like these, so nobody would like take him down or whatever. And like hazmat got called to 3 different locations and like shut down Chandler Boulevard for like hours to like investigate what
And it was
this.
nothing.
I don't know. They didn't release his name and they didn't release what the substance was yet. So I don't know what it was, what it's not. But it was like a full hazmat response to 3 different locations in Awatuki.
And that was yesterday?
Dude, yeah, it made kids pick up terrible. Like
Oh,
Chandler was shut down. It was something. But yeah, dude, like that's the kind of stuff, bro. Like people are just they're losing their minds, bro.
yeah.
There's like this anxiety across the entire culture, man, this entire country, man. It's like so polarized. Like if you are whatever, I hate you. If you're this, I hate you. Like I'm like, what in the heck is happening, bro?
Yep.
It's just crazy. It goes right into like being prepared though. Like, what would you say would be like your absolute necessary preparation going into election time, election year, season time coming up in the next, few weeks?
I mean, normal stuff. I mean, I would just have like, because there's a they found the dude in, where was it, Oklahoma City. There's an
Mm-hmm.
Afghan immigrant
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
that was planning attacks on polling places,
Oh,
that they got him. And like, I don't know, man. I mean, a lot of people are getting absentee ballots to mail in or early vote so that they don't have to deal with any potential issues at the polling stations, kind
mm-hmm.
of a thing, which is kind of crazy. It's like we're not in Iraq.
Yeah,
We shouldn't have to worry about suicide bombers going to the polling places and stuff like that to implicate our elections. So,
yeah,
one of the, a main thing that I would think about is, start like at worst case scenario, and like make sure you have a decent amount of food stored up. Like they just had an issue with when the port dudes went on strike,
yeah.
and
People
like
went
Costco
crazy,
was out of toilet paper and paper towels again. And it was like,
which is insane.
Costco stuff is made in the United States.
Yeah, like we don't import any paper products. It's made by like sawdust and like soybean byproduct in the United States. We don't
Yeah.
import it. It's not
Yeah.
sitting on a ship anywhere.
Yeah. So this just shows you the lack of knowledge and common sense that a
Well,
lot of
and
Americans have.
also the ability to like be uneducated but panic.
Yeah.
Like you're panicking for no reason.
And
You're
irrational.
letting
Like it's an
yeah.
irrational panic too. Like,
There was fist fights at my Costco again. Like people were like fighting over the toilet paper. Like, bro, what? Like, dude, back in like, 2020 when everything got crazy, like there was 4 different instances where I had to call PD to show up because there was a fist fight altercation over place in line. I'm like,
it's crazy.
wild. But that's like the total like overall feel of everywhere. Like everyone's on edge, everyone's like freaking out, and like there's a huge difference between being making educated preparations and then panic buying and freaking out.
Yeah.
100%. Like you need God gave us discernment and wisdom and knowledge and the ability to critically think and to observe and to be educated. He gave us a mind, right? We're made in his image. Like we can use those things. So on the other side of that, right? Like you're coming up into a potentially pretty volatile time
Right.
in the country. It would be foolish for you not to have extra water, extra food, to be to have a way to purify water. And if you're like city locked and water is not free flowing, such as in Phoenix, Arizona, where we're in a valley where there's no naturally occurring water source anywhere, it's all through canals and being brought in and funneled in. Like
Yep.
it would be foolish for me not to have a surplus of water in the garage because A human can only go how many days without drinking? 3, bro. Like, you can go 14 days without eating, but like having the right food, shelf stable food. And then on the other side of that, like, do that discreetly. Like, your family should be the only one that knows that you've got a stockpile of food, water, whatever. Like, finding even ammo around here has been kind of questionable. Like, you can still find it, but it's a little bit marked up. The whole gas prices go down, ammo prices go up because the panic buying, freaking out of people buying munitions. But like, that's
Mhm.
also a very real thing too. If you have all these things and you want to be a protector of your family, like, what is necessary, you need to have the tools and the equipment and extras that come along with it, right? Like, you need to have ammo, you need to have mags, you need to have, I mean, you just have all that stuff a little bit more readily available, because if you do have to protect your home and your family, like, you don't have to go dig through the garage or dig out of a cabinet. Like, it needs to be accessible. You need to have that available, ready use. I mean, aside from just a sidearm, that
Mhm.
you carry every day. Because if you have a gun, you should be carrying it every day. Because why did you spend $300 or $400 or $500 on a paperweight?
Because it's cool.
Like, because it's cool, and I can take it out every 8 months to go shoot 20 rounds through it, and then put it back in its cute little box and put it on the shelf. Like, no, bro. If you have a firearm, you should be training with it regularly. You should be skilled. You should not just be flat range. Like, let me just take a slow shot and squeeze a few rounds off to work. I mean, accuracy training is great, but like, you also need to be able to shoot under duress. You need to be able to know how to, clear malfunction. You need to be able to mag reload in the middle of a cortisol dump or adrenaline dump. Like, you need to know how to do all these things cognitively and, training accordingly. So if you go out to the range, like, that's great. That's fantastic. You're a step in the right direction. Now get to a range where you can run drills, where you can shoot from concealment, where you can, run, sprint 25 yards and shoot mag reload, strong hand, weak hand. All these different things make you a more formidable force to be reckoned with. You know what I mean? Especially if you're the only one in your house holding it down and you don't have multiple people in the house that are gonna go toe to toe and stand alongside you. Like, you need to be proficient in all the things that you're doing. Training jiu-jitsu, we're like a huge proponent in that. Like, you're going to use, probably, I don't know the statistic, but exponentially more often than you would go to draw on a firearm. I need to be able to know how to handle you physically alongside with using a firearm. Like, you're more likely to disarm somebody with, or have a physical altercation with someone, than having to use lethal force. Like, you need to be
Yeah.
able to be trained. You need to start training. And I know 2 weeks of jiu-jitsu is better than no weeks of jiu-jitsu, okay? Start training, bro. You know what I mean? Like, start putting the time in and developing those skills, not just in preparation for an election, but those are all the things that you should be doing consistently. And then when something like the election is coming, where there's a higher probability of something happening, or some sort of instant or incident of something happening, those are the foundational building blocks that you can set up your reactionary force on. Like, if you go LARPing around your house with a plate carrier and you like to just walk around with your AR-15 or whatever, but you have never shot your AR-15 and transition from, like, you need to be doing all these things in the off season, like training with these things. Like, if you have a plate carrier, go out to the desert. You have ranges, outdoor ranges. Like, you can use these things out, like, train your kit and use it and know how to use it. Would be my greatest advice for anybody. Is develop a physical martial art, and then develop skill, like a firearms or skills training. Do those things, and then when election time comes, you're not at a disadvantage. Or when there's a whatever. I mean, we live in a time where an attack on American soil is greater than it's ever been. I
Yep.
mean, in the reality, like, with what's going on at the southern border, with all these different things, these things that have been in play, like, we are more susceptible to some sort of catastrophic attack than we ever have been. Like, that is, and to say those things isn't like fear mongering. It's discerning the reality of the times we're living in, and preparing accordingly. Does me preparing for the worst case scenario diminish my faith in God? Absolutely not. I think on the other side, it promotes, I mean, it's a display of my faith. And he's given me the reason, the ability to logically discern what's going on.
Yep.
Like it's, that thing, like, the guy dies and goes to heaven and he asks God, like, dude, hey, what the heck? He's stuck on an island and he
Oh
ends
yeah.
up dying and goes to God. And he's like, dude, why didn't you save me? God's like, I sent you a life raft. I've sent you this person. I sent you an airplane and you didn't get on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what else you want me to do.
Yep.
And that's kind of like where we're at. Like, as Christians, we need to be read in the Bible. We need to be experienced in prayer time. We need to be led by His Spirit, but also we need to be prepared. And there's all the debate in the Christian world is like, when's the rapture going to happen? Is it pre-tribulation or post-tribulation or mid-tribulation?
Dude, and I
My
had that conversation, and I literally don't have it. I've asked dudes about that because I know some people use that as like the way to choose a church too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I even asked my buddy Matt, I'm like, dude, what does this mean? And I'm like, does it even matter? Like, does it
No,
matter? It doesn't
not
matter,
at all.
right?
So for me, this is my ideology in this, and my theology is I am physically prepared to go through the entirety of the tribulation, because look at the people who spent the nearest and closest amount of time with Jesus. How many of them died of natural causes?
Mm-hmm.
One. Exiled on Patmos. Everybody else was put in boiling oil, crucified upside down, their skin removed. Like, all these people who were martyred in the faith were the people who were near to Jesus, right? So there's people like, well, God wouldn't treat His church, allow His church to do this, which, okay, cool. If you believe, but so this is it. This is what I believe. I am fully prepared to go through the entirety of the tribulation. Do I pray that it comes first? Yes. But if I'm prepared to go through the whole thing and I'm raptured before, whoever
Then it
comes up
will.
on my stash, fantastic. You'll
So,
need it. You'll need it.
so one of the I mentioned the author that I listened to before, Mark Goodwin, and I just finished one of his series, and it's about an attorney whose last name is Lot,
Mm-hmm.
and so he's like, so they're going through whatever, and they're like kind of surviving, and I don't know, it's like the rapture happens, and then like they're kind of left over to survive, kind of a thing, and then like there's like a one world government and like all this other stuff happens, but in one of the chapters they're like, oh man, there's a campground over there, like there's some RVs, like maybe we can go get one, and they're like, well, we don't want to steal somebody's stuff, and he's like, well, we can check to see if there's like Christian specific stuff in there, and then if that way we know that if they've been raptured already, then we can't, they're not going to be coming back anyways. And then one of them is like one of those big like what, class A buses, and there's one of the guys goes, hey man, hey, the guy's name's Mason, he's like, hey Mace, he's like, look at this bumper sticker, and the bumper sticker says, in case of rapture, this vehicle will be driverless. And so like they're like, all right, well, let's
That's
siphon
it.
some diesel and throw it in here so we can move it. So it was pretty funny.
It's
But
true.
so we get, I don't know if you got them, if you guys don't follow Christian Warrior Training on YouTube, that's Keith Graves. He's our lead for all of our campus security training. He's a retired law enforcement and whatever. So his page now, I mean, he's got like 100,000 subscribers now, which is awesome. So he's making money from his page, which is good. And so he gets like sponsorship from stuff, like if, whatever, how it works, YouTube stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he has an email that he sends out that specifically mentions like any potential threats. He's upped the threat level to imminent. So at some point, at any point, something's going to happen. It's just, we just don't know the day or whatever. And that's one of the reasons why like we have church safety ministries, safety team and medical team and stuff like that. And we actually like, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but our qualification for our safety ministry is actually more difficult than law enforcement
Yeah.
qualification. Not that that's saying
Yeah.
much, but it is what it is. So one of the things that we do, my buddy Matt and I, we go out, every once in a while, like I'll have a day off or I'll take a day off, and he's medically retired. So like he can't, and he's got 100% disability. Matt listens to this all the time. So sorry to put your information out there, bro, but it is what it is. It's part of the story. So we go, I'll hit him up and like, with like 2 hours notice or something. I'm like, hey, you want to go shoot? And he's like, yeah, let's go shoot. And then we'll be like, what do you want to do today? And I don't know if you saw the video that I put on my Instagram, but it's basically 3 bill drills. The first one is at 25 yards, and then you run up to 10 yards, and then from 10 to 5 there's a mandatory reload, and then another bill drill. And one of the dudes on YouTube, Milspec Mojo, he's the guy that kind of set it up, and the par time is like 15 seconds, all in
Mhm.
A zone. But he's like a SWAT guy, so he's like really good and fast. So we did that, and I just put the video in here so that I can show it. So let me see if I
Yeah.
can make it work. And this is with the Shooter's Global Timer, so it shows the time on the video that you make with the phone.
Yeah,
So
sweet.
it's kind of cool. So check this out.
Team 4-2. Okay.
So, and that one I messed up on the time at the beginning because I started to run instead of like shooting from the beginning. But that one, I think I had like 3 Charlies, and which, I mean, to me, it doesn't really matter because they're all hits anyways. So,
Yeah.
but that kind of stuff, like my buddy who is friends with Milspec Mojo, he's a Ranger Battalion guy over at Fort Lewis, and he's a Special Forces urban tactics instructor, whatever the school is, Cephalic.
Yeah.
And he was saying that this drill is something that people should be able to do. Like if they carry, this is something that they should be able to do and at least hit the target. Hitting the A zone from 25 yards is like
Yeah. That's
chest to up north of the belly button, and it's not super big, but if you're able to hit the target doing that stuff while moving and all that kind of thing, it's a pretty good deal. And everyone should be able to do that. And if you don't have a range, so I know in Phoenix, Phoenix Rod and Gun Club is where I used to go shoot, and you can move and stuff at that range, draw from concealment and all that stuff. And then the range, I have a membership here. So generally it's an outdoor range that you're going to need to get a membership to.
yeah.
We're kind of saying this like a little late in the game, but we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
And like I'm a big proponent and like everyone who is willing should be carrying.
Yeah. 100%.
I know Amanda carries, right?
Yep.
Most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why, and I post this a lot on Instagram and stuff too. It's like especially if you're a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a woman and a dude, if you're a woman who like trains, like I train with my friend Jet, who's a black belt. She works at the VA. Every time I go to the VA, I'll text her and I'll be like, hey, what are you doing? And then I'll go say hi, what's up? She's a Army vet, Air Force vet, and she's good. I mean, she's a little bigger, but whatever. And she's not nearly as heavy as I am, but she's very well trained. She's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and the last time that I rolled with her, it was like she couldn't submit me, I couldn't submit her, but it was like a pretty good match.
Yeah.
Anyone who is a little bit lighter weight, like a female who is smaller, wouldn't really be an issue, because the strength comes into play there as well.
Yep.
So even if and the point of that story is even if you're a woman and you train and you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu, there's always going to, even if a dude is like not trained, they're stronger, you may not be able to get out of it, right?
Yeah.
So women in general, especially if you're ever out without your husband or boyfriend or whatever, and you have kids, you definitely
Yep.
need to be carrying and be able to be proficient with that.
Yep.
Um, because that's really the only thing that's going to be an equalizer, you know? Tasers don't do anything.
No.
Um, Pepper spray doesn't do anything. And at that point, you're going to impact yourself as well.
Yeah, you're
So
gonna
it's,
blind
it's kind of
yourself with
silly.
that.
And, you don't have to, and the gun that you carry doesn't have to necessarily be the one that you shoot at the range all the time,
Mm-mm.
but being able to get to it quickly and knowing how to use it is important. Like
Yep.
I would say it's okay to carry like a small 380 or something like a pocket pistol, a bodyguard, or
Yeah.
something like that. Just because you're not going to try to shoot someone super far away, it's going to be a close proximity thing
Yep.
for protection. So if you're in a struggle, right, if someone grabs you from behind, you can pull it out and turn and shoot or something like that. I mean, even
Yep.
if you shoot them in the leg, like if you can reach behind you and shoot them in the gut or something like that, that's what those guns are for. They're not made for long shots.
Yeah.
If you feel comfortable carrying a big one or bigger one, like a 19 or I wouldn't say a 43 is a bigger gun, but something that has a little bit larger magazine capacity. If you're going to
Yep.
do that, I mean, and you have enough time from now until the election time frame
Yeah. 2 weeks.
starts
Yep.
to get a gun, go shoot 2-3 times a week to get proficient, go to a couple classes in the meantime. I mean, and you can get good enough to where like you can feel pretty comfortable in carrying. I mean, it's going to take some commitment on your part, but at what point is your family safety not that important?
Yeah.
Um, so I'm a big proponent of that, and also training jujitsu, or kickboxing or boxing, something like that. The majority of people out there
Anything.
are not trained.
Yeah.
Um, if you know how to throw a good elbow as a woman, I
Yeah.
mean, you're good. And if you know how to fight and shoot, I mean, you're
It's
you're
game time.
pretty deadly.
Yeah.
So I told my
Mm-hmm.
buddy Zach, who's a Green Beret, he was my roommate in North Carolina for a long time. He's a really good friend of mine. Um, I was telling him that I feel more deadly now than I did when I was in the military, because I didn't know how to fight when I was in the military. And now I feel comfortable kind of holding my own, even with like some black belts. Um, I mean, that's kind of pushing it a little bit maybe, but anyone who's my size or bigger, who's untrained, I have no issue with that.
Yeah.
And if it gets to the point where I'm going to lose, then I have the ability to get my gun.
Yep.
So it's just
Well,
not that I would do that, but
they say that someone that's that's a blue belt in jujitsu can successfully hold their own or defeat 90% of the population that is untrained.
yeah,
Just a blue belt, and you start
yeah,
progressing in rank, then that's like what you said. The more time you spend investing, I tell people all the time that are thinking about jujitsu is at what point, like, sure, okay, cool. Classes are expensive. They can be expensive. I get it. Classes can be expensive, but at the end of the whole thing, when you take the road down all the way to black belt, what you've invested $15,000 into developing not only character, but you've instilled in you at a neurological level the skill set necessary to handle yourself in an adverse situation physically. Like
yep,
there's no loss when you're investing in yourself and developing a skill that can save your life, your family's life, that gives you the ability to handle your own. And then you couple that with being proficient while shooting. You do have this um, a different mentality, a different mindset of like, yeah, you're going to have to I'm not going to be an easy person to defeat or kill, period. Like it's not going to happen. Um, it's like you just, you hold yourself different, knowing that you can walk into a room and it's like, the guys that are the quietest ones are the ones that know, the loudest guy in the room is not the guy you have to worry about. It's the quiet dude in the corner that's observing what's going on, that if anything
hmm
were to go wrong, that's the guy that has there's a level of humility that comes with not only being discipled through Christ, but also being discipled in jiu-jitsu and spending time investing in shooting practice. Like you don't need to be the loudest guy in the room because 90% of the room you would have no problem like eliminating.
yep.
whether that's a physical altercation or something that were to pop off and you had to use lethal force, you had to use your gun. You just is different. You don't have to be the loudest one in the room. It's just
Yep.
quiet confidence that you just understand, man, like we're gonna like if anything were to go wrong, fantastic. Like I know how to, and it even like knowing it's different. Like if you were to like find yourself in a bad part of town with your family, like you're not, there's not anxiety. Like, yeah, you want to get out as fast as possible, but like if I like, we just randomly ended up having to go to one of our houses. It was probably like 6 months ago, but it was like we had never been to the house before, and it's like it was in the hood. I was like, head turn, like whitest dude on the block, like getting mean mugged by the gangbangers that lived in the house to the right and to the left, and it was like the sober house that we were managing that we're no longer managing. But it was like years ago, I would have been like totally freaked out. It's time to go, but I'm like looking around like if good tit for tat, like I can hold my own in that, knowing that whether it's a fist fight, whether it's whatever, it's like this confidence. First of all, that Jesus has got my back, and it's
Hmm.
like if and ultimately, if like my time to go back to the Lord, then like that like my I'm on the time like my if I get punched like my clock gets punched and it's time to go home, that's fantastic. I get to go be
Yeah.
with Jesus. And
Yeah, for sure.
that could be in an altercation. It could be saving my family or defending my family, or it could be just driving to the store. Like
Yep.
you don't know when your card's going to get pulled, man. And knowing and understanding that doing everything you can to stack the cards in your favor for your family in preparedness, all the things. Like you look at any sort of like preparedness videos on YouTube or whatever, they're all saying the same thing. Food, water, shelter, protection. Like the big ones across the board, and studying it and making, you know, a lot of people like get freaked out like right now, and they panic buy and they spend thousands of dollars on preparations that they don't ever go through and cycle and restore and relook at, and they have to spend thousands of dollars on batteries and flashlights and all these different things, yada yada yada. But then like 10 years down the road, it's all bad and expired because they haven't continued to pour into the preparedness, right? If you're
Hmm.
doing a little bit over the course of time and you're cycling through the stuff that's coming up to expiration and you're using, and you're continually being prepared, because preparedness starts with your mindset. It's
Yep.
not just with the things you have in your house, it's a preparedness mindset. Yes, we rely on Jesus first and foremost, but understanding like the guys over at Field Survival all the time, Mike Lever's like, you know, you are the first responder. Like you're your first, like you are the response for yourself. Like in being trained in knowing that, and this art of being self-reliant. Like you're not necessarily self-reliant in the fact that I'm going to do everything, but understanding that God's equipped these hands with the ability to learn how to be proficient. And I tell the kids all the time, like if there's any sort of altercation, you be the first to hit, and you hit the hardest. Like you end the fight the fastest. Being proficient in violence when it comes to that, and understanding that even the disciples, they carried swords, bro. Like there's like you have to understand that we're required to be proficient in everything that we're doing, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. And it all starts with your mindset. Like, how can I be better prepared to protect my family? Because that's what it comes down to as a man. Women obviously the same. Like you find yourself with your kids. It's your job to protect them. If your husband's not around, the man's not around, like it's your job to be proficient in those things to protect your family. And
Yeah.
not just for election year. Every single day, you don't know what the day has in store. Do I pray that God protects me every morning? Absolutely. Do I trust that he will? Absolutely. But also, he's given me the ability to learn and
Hmm.
equipped me with the mindset that I'm ready for it. Like even down to where, I mean, you do the same, right? You walk into a restaurant, you're not sitting with your back towards the door, you're sitting facing the door, you're looking at your exits, you're assessing the room. Is this like demeanor? You're looking at like the body language of certain people walking down the street. I'm assessing, it's like a threat assessment on the go all the time. And that starts with being conscious of it. And if you can see something approaching before it's a critical moment of response and you can prepare to respond, you just if it's the difference of 300ths of a second, that gives you jump on something coming at you. And it all starts with being prepared in your mindset, like looking at people, assessing people. Do I treat everyone with respect? Absolutely, I try to. Do I
Yep.
have a plan to eliminate every person? Yes, I do. It's just that's in my head. I can't. It's like I can't undo that, and nor do I want to. Like, I can't even remember the quote offhand, but um, the I think it's Churchill or whatever. It's like, be respectful of every person, but have a plan to kill everyone that you meet. Right? Like,
Mhm.
understanding, like, if it were to come down to it, I've already thought through of how I'm going to create distance, or I'm going to, get out of a situation, or I'm going to eliminate whatever's in front of me. Like, that's just the mindset. And it's not this like, Rambo mentality, but dude, it's really just, if that's the difference between me going home to my family, my wife and my kids, like that's what I'm going to do every day of the week. Am I to live to as an example to my family and that tomorrow? Like, yeah, if it's me or this person going home, I'm going home, period.
Yeah.
And
So
understand
um,
that.
let me throw this in here. First Corinthians 16:13. Be on your guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, and be strong. So that's just one of the verses that is in the Bible that basically kind of tells you to be prepared. There's other ones regarding like having food, um, that kind of thing. And so there's a few different like main key things that I would suggest, that it's not like a crazy big list, but some things that just in case, that are super inexpensive to kind of get. Um, for anyone who is in like Phoenix area, right?
Yep.
There's these water storage things that you can get that are like a bag, and then you basically put it in your bathtub and fill it with water. Um, like if like the water is going down or something like that, you can do that
Mm-hmm.
and fill it up. Um, you can get an IBC tote, pretty inexpensive. You can go on like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or something like that, and I
Yep.
think those are like 300 gallons or something like that.
Yep.
They're food grade storage, so usually they have like some sort of juice or something in there before, so you may have to like rinse it out a little bit, but they're food grade, so they don't have like, nothing will seep into the water or anything like that.
Yep.
um a water filtration, like a
Yep.
backpacking pump. There's gravity ones that are like big bags that you can fill up and hang. So you can, I mean, and those things are so good. You can filter, I mean, I wouldn't do it, but filters almost sewage water with it, right? So you can
Yeah.
go to a pond or something, fill it up, like any of the man-made ponds or lakes that are in, like in
Yep.
your area specifically. Go to the lake, fill it up, um, and it'll filter as you use it. You know what I mean?
Gravity fed. Yep.
So yeah, gravity fed water filter. So we have water storage, a water filter, some basic medical supplies. Um,
Yep.
I have a subscribe and save on Amazon for Israeli dressings. So I do that, have a few tourniquets. You should always have that stuff in your vehicle to an extent
Yep.
as well, just in case. Know how to do CPR. It's super
And you
easy.
can
You
take
can
a
watch a
C. Yeah.
video.
You can take a CPR class online
Yep.
and walk out with a certification for relatively cheap.
Like a stop the bleed. Like you can watch videos on YouTube to train yourself on how to put on a tourniquet and how to, do stuff like that. I mean, it's pretty easy. So those are a couple things. Obviously,
Yep.
if you don't have a gun, definitely have one and train with it. Even dry firing is okay. Make sure there's no ammo in the room. Make sure the pistol is
Yep.
unloaded. Go ahead and like, I use little tiny pieces of painter's tape, and I'll show you right here. I have it on the wall, right underneath. You see those little dots?
Mm-hmm.
That's painter's tape, and I just dry fire with that, and boom, boom, boom. You can get a little laser bullet that's like $20 on Amazon. Put it in there, and every time you shoot, the laser will hit where it's shooting at. Generally speaking, they're not zeroing tools, but it's training tool. A couple of those things. What else? Food. So you can order freeze dried food that stores
Yep.
for 25 plus years.
Yep.
You can get a couple buckets of that. That'll keep you good for a couple months, and they're like $100 each for,
Yep. I mean, Costco
whatever.
even at one point
Yeah,
had
Costco has them too. The red
survival
lids.
food bucket. Yeah, red lid bucket. I forget what kind it is. It's like, however many months worth of It was $59.99 for like a year's worth of freeze dried food. The amount of calories that's necessary for
Ready Wise.
Ready Wise. Yep, 100%. All that stuff too. The initial investment on something that's shelf stable for 25 years, like you're not going to regret it.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, at one point I had some stuff and I was like, oh, you know what, dude? I think I have some chicken teriyaki Mountain House meals in there, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I like went, I mean, yeah, bro. I was like, those things are fire. I'll eat them regular. So I just like boiled some water and made some chicken teriyaki Mountain House meals, bro, just chilling on my couch. Like some of the stuff is really good.
Yep.
It's not like you're sacrificing like food. Like it's still good. It's not like terrible. Some are terrible, but
I mean, and another easy thing too. Talking about Costco. Costco's a really good resource, man. So like, you can get a 50-pound bag of white rice.
yeah,
A 50-pound bag of white rice for a family of 5. If that's all you're eating, I mean, that'll last you a good bit. So something super easy. And I think that 50-pound bag of long grain rice is like $25.
Yeah. It might be 30 now with prices, but still,
maybe,
who cares?
And then I usually get jasmine rice or the sticky rice, which is a little bit more expensive because it has like a little different flavor, but it's, I mean, it's still negligible as far as cost goes. And if you don't have a generator, maybe have a generator to keep your refrigerator on. We're in a time right now where it's like not super hot or cold. Survival blankets,
100%.
Keep in your car. If you don't
and
have
then, dude,
even
on
liner,
the other side, oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
poncho liners. This thing right here, it's known as a whoopee. It's a. I mean, I've been in situations where I was like shivering cold, and I just put this over me, and it warms you up really quick. I don't know why it works and how it works so well, but it does. And so, just a few of those things. Have know how to like make a fire. Get
or
a pack of Bic lighters.
And look, YouTube, how to prep fire starters. My favorite one ever. Go down to the dollar store and get a pack of cotton balls and a pack of Vaseline and find a jar, and you soak your cotton balls in the Vaseline, stuff them into, I use a medicine container, stuff them into the medicine container. And when you're ready to rock and roll, you just pull them apart to the fresh cotton, light it, and it burns long enough to start a fire in any condition. Little stuff like that. Just educate yourself. YouTube, if you own property, that's not even required of any like energy source at all. If you own property, go down to Home Depot and get one of those 33-gallon steel trash cans, dig a hole into the ground and make a root cellar. You can keep your vegetables fresh for months just with the temperature, the ambient temperature within the ground. It costs you no money other than the investment of the trash can. Keep your vegetables fresh for months. Like, look at these things. All it takes is simple YouTube. So you can find anything on YouTube now. Like, look at, shelf stable food, learn how to can, all those things going forward. Developing the skills that will only be advantageous to benefit you and your family in the long run, not just election years, but if it were in any way, shape, or form, anything were to go wrong, like say the power gets shot. I mean, look at Asheville, North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Look at these major natural disasters. They're without power for months. They're out without weeks. Like, some parts of the country still don't have power, that were completely decimated by all the natural disasters. Like, those things can happen. And this translates right into that too. Being prepared, not just for a man-made event, but also a natural event as well. All that is just protection for you and protection for your family. And also, when you're at a place where you're storing up and you're being prepared and you're making choices to put away things, when the time comes and you have access and someone that's close to you doesn't, then you can be like Jesus says, to take care of the widow and the orphans, right? To give as you've received, like to be able to provide for the people closest to you, not just in your family, but within your church families, within the people, your community that call close to you. Like, you get to take care of people and be an example of who Jesus is when people are struggling. It's across all avenues, man. It's switching the mindset. If you just beating a dead horse with, dude, go to YouTube and look up preparedness mindset. You can find thousands of videos of people going through what that looks like in detail. Follow the guys at Fieldcraft Survival. Like there's so much good information out there, and these guys that are way more educated than most. You
Mm-hmm.
find there's so many things that resources online. We just live in an amazing age where you can find anything you want now online. So just
Yeah.
start with the little things that you can do coming up to November. You know, get your med kits, stack up a little food, buy those bags, make sure you have water set aside. Like for me, I have a pool in the backyard. I can flush my toilet for months.
Yep.
Like just using what's the resources around you and being mindful of the resources that you have, stacking them up. And that's it, man. Making the little adjustments over time, and setting yourself and your family up to succeed.
Yep.
That's really what being prepared is about.
But in the same time, have faith and
Yes.
and keep in mind that that Jesus is with you always, and
Yep.
make sure that we're not out to tell you. I mean, if you're love your neighbor as you love yourself. Um, I don't use that how you will. You want to make sure that you take care of your family, but also remember that there are people who are going to potentially need help.
Yep.
And if you can, then you should.
Yep.
What is it? The one guy asked Jesus how I can be in heaven, and he says, "Sell everything you have."
Yep. And give them support. Yep.
And just kind of keep that in mind. Yeah, you want to prepare, but also, if you can help other people prepare as well.
100%.
Donate to your local food bank.
Yep.
Food drives. If you can donate blood,
Yep.
that kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, the main thing that we're talking about here is we want to make sure that everyone is following Jesus, and if you aren't, then we want to make sure that you
Yes.
are able to do that. And if we're able to help you kind of take the step into that direction with this podcast, then that's our goal.
Yep.
It's okay for tough guys to be Christians.
Yep.
There's a lot of guys who I know who are, serious combat veterans, who are, SEALs, Special Forces guys, Delta Force, who are Christian, and they live that lifestyle accordingly. Like John Lovell is a perfect example. He's a former Ranger. That's his goal. So, pray first, pray quick.
Yep.
Keep the book that I was listening to. One of the things in there, it says, "Be quick to prayer." Right. A lot of people use prayer as the last resort.
Yep.
But
Should be
you
your
should use
first.
it as your first.
Yep.
So yeah. And if you're like, oh man, I wish I would have known about this. And, God's like, oh, well, you listened to Mike and Nate on the podcast, and
Yeah.
they said to kind of get ready for this. And I told you that through them. Not
Yep.
that we're prophets or anything like that, but I mean, we're doing our best to get the word of God out,
Yep.
and the little extra knowledge that we have to help you be
Yep.
prepared for any situation, especially over the coming weeks. We want to make sure that everyone is as prepared as possible. So like Nate
Yep.
said, watch videos, do as much as you can to learn and prepare in the meantime.
Yep.
And do that. So
Yep.
that's
That's it, man. That's it. What we're here for. Let's pray out real quick. Jesus, we just come before you and thank you for the privilege and honor, Lord, to first of all have your word, to have you, Holy Spirit, reside within us, and to have you as our guide, our light, our discernment. And Lord, we just thank you, Father God, that we can discern the times and we can act accordingly by led by your Spirit, your grace, and your mercy. So we surrender this all to you. Let all your glory be back to you, Father God, for you deserve every ounce of it. And we just honor you. We thank you and love you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, guys. That's all we got.
That's it. See you guys next time.
All right. Bye-bye. Oh, he left. On top of that, thumbs up. Thank you guys for listening. We love you, and we appreciate anything that you guys have to say with regards to this podcast. If you have any feedback or anything, let us know. godgunsandfamilypodcast@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Instagram at God, Guns, and Family Podcast. It's right up here. See that right there? Boop. If you guys have questions or concerns, let us know. And remember, when you're going out to vote, vote Jesus. Think about, I know the candidates aren't the best, but vote with the one that most aligns with your beliefs. Whether it's left or right, doesn't matter. But make sure you're voting with the beliefs. If you're a Christian, you should definitely take a second look at the candidates and see which one of those is more closely related to Christianity, and go with that. All right. We love you guys. Take it easy.